So,
Now you may have to speak up because you're going to be going to our mixing board.
yeah, I understand. Okay, right now we are about ready to. Let me just. I'm getting ready to get my.
We need a minute then.
Sure thing. Go right ahead. You're listening to www.Talk Black Live Internet Radio Station, the radio station that has your voice in mind. You're listening to www.Talk Black Live Internet Radio Station, the radio station that has your voice in mind. I'm your host, Wisdom to See, and right now we're about ready to really embark upon something very exciting. Again, we got our brother from Brother JAMAAL from Kemet Dimensions. That'd be broadcasting out of Live Liberation Radio, Lib Radio. That's at, I believe that's going to be, you have to be able to get that, www.lib radio, as well as here at www.talkblacklive.radio. Right now, we're excited. You know that we've been talking about a lot of beautiful issues, and here we talk about solar energy, economics, and community development. And when we talk about economics and community development, we're talking about something that deals and addresses with solutions about the economic pain of black people. Again, I'm your host, Wisdom to See, and we're about ready to, matter of fact, I'm going to be interviewed, and we're going to be here broadcasting throughout California, throughout, matter of fact, through all of you who are out there, and we're talking about those in New York, California, Chicago, Atlanta, Georgia, Mississippi, and Alabama, and those of you in Italy and Germany and England, as well as those of us who are in Africa and Ghana, Nigeria. We want to say, I want to greet you all in peace of Assalamu alaikum. And we're about ready to talk about some things about the paradigm shift, about some of the technological things that are affecting the lives of black people. This is so important. So as we speak, I will be standing by.
People that are technologically there, so to speak.
Correct.
And they want to develop this community of those of us that are online, those of us that have these computers in our home, what to do with them. Many black folks are simply using their computers like typewriters. They're using the internet just like it's a big library card, but you can do so much more than that. Wisdom 2C is going to be here in just a few minutes. Ideas on developing our black community. Later in the program, we have one of our great holistic practitioners that's going to be on, and he's going to talk about Alzheimer's and regaining our lost memory. Many of us in our community, some of us are just acting like we lost our memory because it's convenient, but many of us really have lost our memory, and therefore our guest tonight is going to share with us his thoughts on how to maintain our memory and regain a lost memory. That's the program for you, family. This again is Kickback.
I need to set you straight before we go any further. I've learned from loneliness that...
Brother Wisdom?
Yes, sir. I'm right here, brother.
Hey, you're breaking up on us.
Okay, give me a minute.
Breaking up.
Okay, I'm right here.
Brother Wisdom.
Yes, sir.
Brother Wisdom.
Yes, you hear me? Do you hear me?
Wisdom.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm right here, brother. Yeah, I know, brother. I hate this little problem I got right here. I'm getting ready to straighten it out right now. Okay, got you. Got 1 minute. Okay. All righty. Sure. All righty. Okay, we're listening to Talk Black Live Internet Radio Station, the radio station that has your voice in mind. You're listening to www.Talk Black Live Internet Radio Station, the radio station that has your voice in mind. Right now, we're about ready to broadcast live here again at www.talkblacklive, and we have a lot of great ideas that we're going to talk about. And for those of you who are listening in, I want you to make sure that you write down some of these informations, because we're providing you with thoughts and ideas that will really provide solutions and new ways of looking at the applications of the technology and its forms of investment. And so, as we speak, we'll be standing by. So I just want you to know that right now I'm literally going to be interviewed here through Brother JAMAAL. He's broadcasting live out of Nevada, and I believe that's in Nevada and California at the same time. And we got other groups that will be tuning in. So if you're listening in here at www.talkblackliveradio, more than welcome to dial in at any time and call in at 1-866-465-2004. Again, you can dial in at any time at 1-866-465-2004. Okay, 30 seconds. Okay. All ready?
Live on the LIBradio.com network. This is Kemet New Dimensions, live with Brother JAMAAL and Sister Halima. Our guest tonight is Brother William 2C, and we're going to talk about developing this electronic community. Sister Halima?
Yes.
You know, during the introduction, I made mention about those of us that are utilizing the electronics, the computers, I guess we're swiping cards now, and our children are using the electronic games. But what I found to be very interesting is that these young people, and many of us that are, I guess we wouldn't consider ourselves within the, I guess you're young at heart, a literal cultural community of people that are using the electronic equipment.
Yes.
Have you found yourself observing this? Have you found yourself participating in this? How do you feel about the electronic community?
Of course. I feel that potentially we can use it for a positive, definitely. You know, we all use computers. Well, not all of us, because some of us do live in indigenous land where we're not utilizing technology. I do feel that it can be utilized in a positive way.
In a very positive way.
Depending upon the minds behind the technology.
Well, we're going to look at both sides of the issue. How can electronics be used to compromise us as the individual? And how can we utilize electronics to expand our, I guess, horizon, so to speak, on an economic level, on a political level, on a social level? Well, joining us is Brother Wisdom 2C, making a return visit here to Kemet New Dimensions on the LIBradio.com network. And family, we are brought a simulcast mode today. We have this station going through, actually two stations, here at LIB Radio and Black Talk Live. Many of you are listening to Brother Wisdom there. Brother Wisdom 2C, welcome to Kemet New Dimensions.
Yes, sir. Welcome. As again to the family, I'd like to just say peace and may God bless us all. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir. And I want to introduce you to Sister Halima. She's joining us in this segment of Kemet New Dimensions.
Hotep.
Hotep, sister. I wanted to say that I am so deeply honored to have your presence.
Brother Wisdom, in regards to some technical issues right now, we need to somehow get some more volume out of your side because we're having a real problem hearing you here at LIB. Is there something you can do to turn up your volume?
Yes, I'm going to work on it now. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but it's still kind of faint.
It's still a little faint.
Okay. A lot of volume.
Okay. Let me see what I can do here. Alrighty. Can you hear me now?
It's still faint. We still need more volume.
Okay, brother. I'm trying to put it together here. Let's see. Better now?
Getting better. If we can do a little, two more, and I think we're there.
Okay. How about that right now?
Okay, we can live with that.
Okay.
Brother Wisdom, you know, when you were on first with us a few weeks ago, we talked a lot about globalization and the effects of globalization on the African community. But today we want to talk about this development that you've been observing called the E-community, where we're looking at black folks in particular that are, I guess, creating this culture, this cultural community of electronic equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into that and your observations, though, for our listeners that may not be familiar with you, let's get a bit of background on William 2C.
Okay. Well, first thing is that my radio station name is Wisdom 2C, and basically it's designed in a way to really get people to think. It's like, to address this whole issue that what you're talking about is really an issue, a paradigm shift in relationship to of the understanding about the application of the technology in real time. So now, a little bit about myself. My background is that I'm an engineer. I have an electronic engineering background. But in addition to that, I have a very strong business background. I'm an entrepreneur in the community. And also, I'm the chairman of Joseph Vision's Technologies and Economic Development Incorporated. Now, that process deals with not only just information technology, but we also talk about alternative energy technologies and its applications and its forms of investment. And so what we try to do is to first educate and to encourage investment to create a stimulus in the community in relationship to business and job creation throughout our community, particularly the black community. And so that's about, that I deal with so many other aspects of this thing that it really gets into even about buying land and purchasing land. Right now, some of the previous projects that I'm working on as we speak is a solar energy project for City Hall to actually try to, and matter of fact, we have been accepted and been voted upon by the automatic board to be able to literally put solar panels on City Hall. Look at the Board of Education. When you look at the massive deficits that you hear about in state deficits, and we think about the public and private sector, we're able to look and identify the applications of the technology and see how we can be actually able to reduce your costs and your initial costs and your utility costs from 50% up to 100%. And that's just the beginning of the gamut of what we can get ready to do. But I think that what we were talking about and what you're getting ready to talk about is when we talk about technology, we start looking at, the phone. Right now, we have people that make long distance calls, and there's a culture that is out there that matter of fact, our children are not participating in, and that's because we haven't created the vehicle for the understanding of what this technology means. And I begin to really kind of tie that into something else that I'm learning as time go on, and we're finding out that it's more to reading. It's more to than just saying, well, hey, I can read, or some people have certain levels of reading. That's why when you take a test, they give you a reading comprehension test, so they can be able to determine how well that you comprehended the material that you have received, or the information that you received. Now that gets into retention. But the thing is that this is what this whole thing is about. Is right now for black people, what are we really understanding that this technology is application in real time? Go ahead, brother. Does that explain it for you?
Yeah, that gives me a pretty good overview of who you are and what you really want to get into this evening. And Brother Wisdom, on your side, we're getting some tremendous feedback. So it seems like you have a microphone close to a speaker or something that is open, but we're getting the feedback on this side.
Okay, let me get that down. That's what I'm doing here too, trying to work that out as we speak. It's kind of go ahead.
And you're saying that that we're not understanding how to apply the technology in real time. I would like you to further expand upon that. And are there other groups of people, whether it's a civic group, a political group, social group, and or an ethnic group, that is understanding how to apply this technology in real time? And can you give us illustrations of what it would look like if we were doing that?
Okay, let's start off with the children first, okay, and just people who just play basic games. You have what you call a virtual world game, where they have even military games that, like, for example, to name a couple, maybe like Delta Force, a few others. There's quite a few of them out there. But the thing is that you have now where you have groups that you can actually come together, and they have this server where you can actually, anyone all over the country can come and just join into this actual virtual war game. Now, when you talk about just that, there's many, you can actually, with some of the software that you get for the games and things like that, you can actually change the environment in which these games are being played. You can create mountains and rivers and landscapes and anything that you could think of in regards to an animated environment you could be able to create. Now, the thing is that white children and other people are engaged in this process, and they've been doing this for a long, long time. I have some things about our own black children in relationship to when we start looking at the MSN messengers. Just say MSN and the Yahoo messengers and many others that are similar to that. We have to stop and think about, do you know that in a book by Bill Gates, it's called Business at the Speed of Thought, Creating a Digital Nervous System in that book, it describes about the actual things that I'm talking about, and I invite you to read that book. And there's many others that really give you an understanding about where we're living in now and where we're headed. And that has something to do with when you think about Dick Tracy, for example, the comic in the newspapers and stuff a long time ago, where he would look at his wristwatch and he would look at some person. You can actually see the person and talk to his wristwatch, and turn around. And what happens is that this is in real time. Literally do that now. When we're talking about robotics, we literally have a humanoid robot that's out here now that's on sale called Oshima. It's done by this robot was created. I think it's by Sony. Matter of fact, you can come to my site. You can see it. It's on the message board. Matter of fact.
What is your site?
It's at www.talkblackliveradio.com. www.talkblackliveradio.com. And you can see it. And then when you click there, you can go directly to their site, and they have an educational department for the youth. Now, let me give you something to think about. Now, when we talk about a paradigm shift, we as black people, we have to begin to understand, if we're going to talk about addressing unemployment, we're going to talk about any of these things, or we have to stop and look at to identify what technologies or what jobs that's going to survive the country. You got people right now graduating with their master's and doctorate degrees, and some are graduating with degrees now, just this month in May, past month, and they got their degrees, but it's not worth the ink that the paper is written on, because it is not prepared to address the actual changes that are coming and just getting ready to come straight down the pipeline. Now, when we look at education and we start looking at the robotics and all of that, these are things that we haven't even talked about. We heard about outsourcing of jobs. We heard about all these other things, but we have not, as a community, began to understand. And what I want to say is that we're going to provide solutions. And we're not only just going to talk about addressing some of the problems that we see that is lacking in the community, in the black community, but we want to also talk about solutions that we can literally do. From the religious aspect that you described, from the public and private sector, how you can begin to be more efficient. And that's what the book about Business at the Speed of Thought is about, is that he says that persons with the human mind, that the human mind, for example, is really, we're only using something like, they say, 10% of the human mind. Well, right now, for each and every one of us who just purchased a computer or who've been having a computer for quite a long time, we still probably using no more than maybe about 20%. The best of us is using about 20% of the capacity of what your computer can do. And this means is that what we have to do is kind of elevate our thinking about this whole entire process. I know that what I'm saying here may sound strange, but let me give you an example. Right now, as we're communicating, we're using a technology which is called the MP3 technology. Now, MP3 technology is a wonderful introduction. If you remember, just last year, the MP3 radios just came out, which you call satellite radios. Now, these radios just came out, and they're now beginning to become popular because the cars, the newest model cars, need to have these satellite radios and stuff out there now. Now, the market for that is, you're talking about a worldwide global thing. What we are doing right now, and many people are taking very lightly, is that we have right now the powerful tool of communicating throughout the world. You see, you can look at your local radio station and you can look at your local television station, but you cannot interact. Here, under this, what we're doing under this format, you can be able to visually interact with what we're saying, as well as hear what we're talking about. You can see what you're talking about and be able to actually interact with what we're talking about. That's why come here we say that we use website review. The internet radio station can serve that purpose. And here at www.talkblacklive, and as well as Kemet Dimensions, we use this format as an opportunity for you to be able to do website review and be able to of what's going on. So now going back to this point, when you're talking about information, the key to success, and matter of fact, what technology is really doing is you could do more with less, meaning that you can use less human resources. With the automation, you can be able to do more.
And And that's why, Brother Wisdom, to see this, that's where I have a problem with.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I personally like calling a business and hearing a human voice,
Mm-hmm.
a live person. I don't want to talk to a computer. I feel that we are trying to replace humans, and in the end result, I believe that that's going to bite us in the what, because we are valuable, and technology has its place, but in my opinion, it should not take the place of humans.
I agree with you, because let me show you what happens now. We have a case that just happened in Iowa, I believe, somewhere, a sister that was a welfare recipient who had, what she did was that she, for some reason, for no reason on her own, that she created this problem, but she didn't receive her welfare check. So what they did was that they ended up calling in to the welfare department. But guess what happened? The people who answered the phone were people in India. See, I'm just showing you just how this whole thing is affecting our lives. I have a problem too with it, and to a certain extent, when we talk about the credit bureaus, the three major credit bureaus in this country, that dictates and control the very life of each human being on this planet, especially black people in America. Because if your credit rating is being affected by these bureaus, that determines what your insurance cost is going to be. It determines what your health insurance rate is going to be. It determines what your insurance costs for your automobiles, anything, even your interest rates on your mortgages on your home. We have not advanced ourselves to the level to even question about the search engines that are out there now that we use on the computer, on the internet. Meaning Google's. No one is questioning Google's or Yahoo or any of the rest of those search engines about whether or not we're really being placed in a certain way, or maybe the methods of the way that they're categorizing everything, that we should be able to look at that. We don't even question the books that our children are reading in the school system. So, I mean, there's a lot of, this thing gets heavy, but we can't even get to this point until we first learn how to engage ourselves in this process. Meaning, for example, wouldn't it be, the churches could be able to begin to learn how, and the parents can learn to begin to create communities. We're talking about cyber communities. There is small glimpses of things that you're hearing about. For example, in New York, you got a Starbucks thing called the Internet Cafe type thing. Okay. And you got these other people too that that they're looking at new approaches. But let me give you something to clearly understand about this MP3 technology. You got the new computers are coming out, which are the 64 bits. The 64 bits that are coming out now. We were on 32s; they're going 64. What that means is that the audio video streaming part of it is beginning to be introduced into the world. Now, right now, with what we're doing now, you could be able to literally, and we have been able to prove it, that you can literally pick up this broadcast now through your internet, through your cellular phone. We have actually been able to do that. So just think about this real carefully. This broadcast, we're broadcasting now live, can be received and picked up by a person's cellular phone. Now, what I'm saying to you is that what is the marketing concept of this that can be developed? I looked at the pros and cons of this thing, but I also saw something else, that this was an advantage and a blessing for us here particularly for the black community. In many ways and aspects of looking at business and looking at how we have to compete with marketing and advertising firms that are out there and have been out there for the past 40, 50, 60 years that we have not been involved in. For example, when you think about a product, for example, like Tony the Tiger, that product has been advertised for 40, 50 years now. It has 2 or 3 different age groups that it could specifically target. You don't just see Kellogg's Cornflakes commercial just targeting for children. It's targeting adults as well. When you look at Aunt and Mammy pancakes, or you look at Uncle Ben rice that have been around for so long, these are products that are being advertised, but we had not been able to facilitate or own or be able to actually project our images in any form except project through our music. We've been able to project through other ways, but we have no control right now except now over our signs, sounds, and symbols. And again, signs, sounds, and symbols. We have to control and master that and create our own cultural expression through this technology. And this is the way we can be able to do it.
Brother Wisdom 2C, we have to take a break. We're at the bottom of the hour here at libradio.com. For you and our listening audience that may have a question in regards to developing this Black E community, we'd like you to email us your question in for Brother William 2C.
Brother Wisdom.
Today, I'm sorry, for Brother Wisdom 2C. And the email address is JAMAAL at libradio.com. That's JAMAAL at libradio.com. This again is Brother Jamal and Sister Halima. This is Kemet New Dimensions, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to www.talkblack Live, internet radio station, the radio station that has your voice in mind. You're listening to www.talkblack Live, internet radio station, the radio station that has your voice in mind. I'm your host, Wisdom to See, and right now we're about ready to go into another broadcast, and with our brother Jamal, coming live out of www.live radio. As you know, our brother, we love our brother Jamal, and we're going to continue to get all the facts and the information that we need, that we can be able to be progressive as a people. And here we want to provide solutions, and this is what this is about. Right now we are coming down to the top of the hour. It's about going around about 9:37 p.m. this time, and in their time we're looking at around about 7:37. But as we speak, we'll be standing by, and if you have any questions regarding anything that you hear here at www.talkblack Live or through the Kemet Dimensions, you're welcome to give us a call at any time at this number at 1-866-465-2004. Again, you can dial in and call in at any time at 1-866-465-2004. And we'll be standing by.
Brother Wisdom?
Yes.
Okay, we're still getting that feedback, and your volume on your end is kind of low.
Yes, I see, brother. And believe it, over here we're blasting big time. Let me see what I can do to make a change adjustment here.
So somehow, I don't know if you're taking the feed from LIB, feeding it to your mixing board, and feeding it back to your station, but somehow in the that we're losing some volume.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you sound good now.
Okay, so then I think what we're going to do, I think I got it corrected at this point. It has something to do with this wire. I got this bare wire over here that I'm working on. Yeah, I think, and when I touched it and make it tight, and it comes in, the signal comes in better. It's just a loose wire over there. You remember when I told you I did with the radio, with the telephone?
You're right.
And so that's what it is. We're going to do better.
I know. We're going to get it.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got about a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Hold on. Sounds good now. We'll see.
For you want, and you will never discover the power. So true. So true. Hold on. Don't be sold on a cliche that says, damned if I do. If you don't discover the power. So true. So true. If you don't, and you won't, you will never discover life's power. So true, so true. Hold on, don't be sold on a cliche that says, damn if I do. won't, you will never discover life's power, love's power. So true, so true.
That's a real special one from Ursula Rucker. My goodness. Here's a sister with tremendous talent that produced her own CD, because there are many that don't believe that the spoken word can sell commercially. But we're playing it live right here on Kimmy New Dimensions and nowhere else. This is Brother Jamal and Sister Halima. We're talking with Brother Wisdom Tusi about developing a black e-community. If you're online, you are obviously in that community. And we want to know, what can we do to expand our capabilities in regards to utilizing the computer technology, the electronic technology, to advance our people's cause, whatever that cause may be. If it's economic, social, political, or whatever, what can we use? How can we better utilize the electronic developing community to serve our needs? Those of you that want to contact us, and again, we're broadcasting live through libradio.com, and those of you that are in the Talk Black Live community, we welcome you to Kimmy New Dimensions as well. Brother Wisdom Tusi, welcome back to Kimmy New Dimensions.
Yes, sir. And a great honor and a pleasure to be here with you, and to the listening audience. May God bless you all.
And Brother Wisdom, if we can get a little more volume. We're still having that issue with volume.
Still having that problem again, huh?
Yeah, we're still having some problems with the volume. We need a little more volume out of you.
Okay. Let's see how we work this out. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but it's just kind of low.
It does sound low. Okay, you don't be surprised. It might sound low to you, but it may still pick up well if you're recording. But have you heard a response from anybody? Can they hear it better? Or sometimes you might hear it on your end, but on the,
I tell you what, this is what we'll do. We'll put out the challenge to those that are in our listening audience, because we know we have a good sized audience that's listening right now. So
yes.
Anyone that's listening that has the capability of listening and emailing at the same time, I guess we need to talk to Kitty. How do you email and listen online at the same time? Because many of us are mono-functioning on the internet right now, when you can multi-function. But send us an email at Jamaal, Jamaal, at libradio.com, and let us know how the sound sounds to you. Brother Wisdom, again, I want to continue on with this whole aspect of utilizing and developing the e-community to better serve our needs as a people. Now, do black folks specifically have some concerns, some issues that we need to know about in regards to developing this e-community?
Yes, we do, brother. And I just saw a new report just came out that China, when you look at the government of China, the Communist Party, they had some concerns, but they are now deciding to still open up their airwaves more and more to their internet community that they have. Now, think about this. By 2006, you will have over 500 million people in China online.
That's an incredible amount of people in one country that's going to be online. What is that going to actually do to the internet?
Well, the key is think about India. Just this year alone, you're looking at something around about 250 million people would be online in India. What that means is that the one who has the knowledge, or the one who is more efficient with the technology, will increase their competitiveness in the world. And that's the key. When you begin to understand how technology creates efficiency, efficiency creates a better form of organizational flow, we can begin to actually grow. But we will have to look at the seriousness of this in relationship to us as being black people. And when we're talking about creating an economic stimulus that can really help solve some of the social problems that we see, because every psychological and sociological problem that we're really seeing outside that can be addressed spiritually, but basically we're having a serious, severe economic problem. But how are we going to be able to compete? Now, think about how our children, right now, I'm going to give you an example, that we already having communities in the white communities throughout America and in England. If you look at if you got cable TV, if you notice they have this thing called Tech War, where they have families, groups of families, they just come together and they create a robot, and the robot battles each other, and in front of an audience. Think about that. How many of our children are impact of what robotics mean in just 2 to 3 years? Alan Greenspan just mentioned that he said that within the next 2 to 3 years, there will be a whole entire group of millions of people that will not be able to get a job because they have not been able to get the education, nor do they have a clear understanding about the transition in regards to the impact of this technology. This is really serious. So what we have to do is, how do we make our children help position our children to be in position to compete? Now, in the midst of all of this that I'm talking about, we still have a great opportunity in front of us, and we do have the best minds. And I'm saying that, we had talked about how solar energy, the very solar panels that we could buy here in the United States, you could take that same system and take it over into Africa, and it will increase the electrical output because it's provided with more light. So you can begin to understand how the application of the technology can help in just dealing with energy. But let's look at the robotic part. Right now, they had in our community not too long ago, they had a news article about groups of white children between the age of 12 years old, I think from 9 up to underneath the age 18 or 18 years and under. What they did, they came together in little groups and they competed against each other, creating robots. Now, what I'm saying is that what we have to do is, the business community and the best of us, we can go on the website and look for different types of robotic kits that you can buy. Some of these kits may run about $300, $400, $500, but some may be less than that. But yet, no matter what the price is in anything, whatever it is, anytime when you invest your money in your children, that is the best investment you can ever have. And if we as black children can begin to look at investing in our children to prepare them for this, we're on the right track. But now, what we could do is create competition among our children. We can do it in the schools. We can go to the PTAs or whatever they at and demand, or just take the kids and begin to strike certain type of robotic technological clubs or whatever. We have to begin to look at this thing in a way that we can compete. And I think that, if anybody else got any other suggestions other than what I'm thinking about now, please, you can definitely email Brother JAMAAL.
The email address here at LIB Radio is JAMAAL, JAMAAL, at libradio.com. I do want to acknowledge Brother T.A.L. Amin did send us a sound check. We got one from Wadu. I think I know who that is. Send us an email as well, letting us know that they can hear you, Brother Wisdom 2C, but it is kind of low, so we somehow still need to work on that.
Okay.
But you know what? I want to reiterate a couple of points.
Mm-hmm.
Again, from the area of computers and robots, we got this movie that's about to come out that's going to scare the living hell out of a lot of people. Yes, it's called iRobot.
Mm-hmm.
That robots are going to be so completely
conscious.
Well, that's a whole other issue.
Yeah, they talk about artificial
technology developing its own consciousness, but they're going to be so thoroughly. We're going to be so thoroughly saturated with robots in every aspect of our life that if they do develop a collective consciousness, that they could, run things on their own. And who needs a human? The question is who needs a human?
And, I feel the energy. I'll just say this: there is a place for technology. I have the computer. I'm online. Obviously, I'm on an internet radio show, so I see the potential. But when you're saying the passion that you have about, getting black children involved and creating robots, to me, makes my stomach turn, because grow some food, make our own clothes. You get back to the basics and the natural sciences that our ancestors were masters at.
Well, sister, let me just mention. It's something that's just coming into my mind right now. I'm trying to get a thought on it. Let me say this much, that I envision a world that could be a utopia. If we can take sunlight and convert it into electricity, and if we see though you can see that, yes, we as human beings, we need to get back to the natural parts of the earth and all of that. We can get into things that really, when we talk about irrigation and agriculture and all those type of things, anything that can produce efficiency, that's the key. I think that as the population, when you talk about population increases, you talk about. I wanted to say I agree with. I understand what you're saying, but see what's happening here is there is a whole segment of the world that has not even been touched by this technology, and I mean in every aspect. And when we talk about outsourcing of jobs, and we see cuts in social service programs, we see that now that very shortly, if blacks don't begin to demand to get a piece of this, what I call multilateral free trade agreement, and we expand and connect back to Africa and create commerce and trade with South America and China and all these other things to address the things that are absent within the community. No matter how we're looking at it or how some people may feel, it's just like we have to begin to become. What I'm saying is that we're going to have to compete with this world.
We said, you got to go get your education, get your master's, get your PhD. We always try to compete with this system, and look where we are now.
Well, allow me to explain this. That what's happening is that we have not been competing. Because for the past 40 years, we've only been addressing a social service program. We have not addressed an economic agenda. We have never had an economic agenda, nor have we had any leadership except the few that we have had. And we can go to we can go to Honorable Marcus Garvey. We can go into many the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They gave us the blueprint and what we really need, but you have to understand, the 2/3 of us have been educated, an education that has been keeping us subordinate to them, not to create our own self-reality, and even including their own whites. They have been educated. When you start talking about, here we're looking at an 18th century industrialized education, us to be subordinate to them, to work for a corporation, to go get a job. Now, this technology is putting us in a position that is teaching us to go for self. In essence, it's going to force us to go for self because of the fact that now you can't no longer depend on that corporation anymore to get a job. Now we're going to have to learn to do for self. And I think about, you remember this thing called Robinson and Crusoe? Not Robinson and Crusoe, but the Robinson family lost in space.
Yes.
And they end up crashing into this planet.
Yes.
And the whole family was able to sustain itself. Well, this is what we're looking at. There are so many different ways that we can look at this whole thing. For example, what is, think about what is it? You can look at a community that is totally self-sufficient. See, what I'm saying, listen what I'm saying. You don't have to pay for electricity. You don't have to pay for water. You don't have to pay for heat. And what you're saying about self-sufficiency to a certain extent of going back to the ground, yes, that's what we're talking about. But being able to be totally self-independent, that's the thing. And with this technology, you would be in better position to be more self-sufficient than ever before. You see, that way we won't be controlled and dictated to by some multi-glomerate corporation like these oil barons, these Muslim and Christian oil barons. You see what I'm saying?
I do feel you. And you made a point earlier about that most humans use only 10% of their brain.
Yes.
And the maximum 20%. You said the maximum that we may use computers is 20%. We're maximizing 20% of computers.
That's the best of us.
Now, let me ask you a question. If you feel we would invest energy and maybe even technology into naturally raising our brain capacity, so we're using maybe 50% of our brain.
Sister, think about this. They have now been able to put an electrode into the brain and they have made it compatible where the body don't even resist it now. And what I'm saying is, through thought, they're able to look at a projected on a computer, on a monitor, and move an object just by thought. Let me show you something else. They have already got the technology that they are actually able to slow down the speed of light, which travels at a speed of 186,000 miles per second, and actually slow it down to something like 30-something miles or 40-something miles per hour. Let me explain what that meant with the technology now. See, right now, they're talking about they can actually take this internet service that we're dealing with now and interject it into the copper wire, and you will be able to tie in and be able to get internet service, and all you got to do is plug into your electrical outlet and be able to receive a signal and be able to be on the internet at any electrical outlet throughout your home. They already did several cases. They did a certain segment of that experimentation. Go in there and you can check it out. Through Earthlink is one of the companies that are doing it. They did it in St. Louis, and they did it in a couple other areas across the country. I mean, actually, now what they're talking about now with light is to be able to actually take what you're looking at as what we're dealing with now, the internet, and actually send it through a light, the transmission, the information. They're talking about nanotechnology, which is, let me explain. We have black scientists right now that are kept away from us, that are on NASA staff right now. Black female scientists, matter of fact. I want you to look it up. And see, that's why we gotta expand. Is actually in charge of dealing with nanotechnology. What I mean by that is that we have black scientists that's dealing with nanotechnology, that the very thing that you're talking about that you might feel a little leery of. This thing that they're working on is where the robot, if for example, if a spaceship skin get punctured, that the nanotechnology is set up that it actually goes and repairs itself and create new skin. See, this thing here is deep, and I know that I don't mean to, really, what is the application of all of this? This means that right now, this is where we have to begin to look at what businesses that we have to identify the technology, and then look at what type of businesses that we can be able to create that will address for the next 20 years or 30 years. You see what I mean? Throughout the whole 21st century. That's why when I said that I identified the solar energy industry, and matter of fact, throughout the world, we need to create a national solar energy movement, not only within the United States, but throughout the world, in relationship to becoming energy free. When you have,
we only have about
yes, I'm sorry,
5 minutes for this segment of Kimmy New Dimensions, and I did want to get into this whole area of solar energy, because that's a whole nother area that it would seem that many of us of African descent need to really explore, and those of us that are actually on the continent obviously need to explore, because there's tremendous consistent sunlight on the continent of Africa. Can you give us some more insights in regards to solar power?
Yes, let me give you something to really think about here. The first thing is that each area throughout the country is, how would I put it, is divided by index number. And it ranges from anywhere from a 1 to 7. And that means that each area depends upon how much abundant sunlight you're receiving in certain regions of the area in which you live. Now, the product itself, I want you to understand how accurate this how dependable this technology is. The very first solar panel that was created is still producing electricity today. So I'm saying to you that, let me get to this point. The solar panels that produce the electrical output is based upon the index number in the regions in which you live in. So naturally you're going to purchase as many more solar panels to accommodate a certain amount of constant electrical output to provide yourself with self-sufficiency in energy. But do you know that you could take that same product, let's say that you can produce 5,000 kilowatts of power. Now, you're living in a 4 or 5 index area. In the area you're in, you're probably in a 6 index number area. But here we're in between a high 5.39 area to maybe a low 5.3 or something like 5.3, something like that index number. Now, you can take that same manufacturing product that is producing 5,000 kilowatts of power, take it over to Africa, and remember that Africa is at a high 6 to 7 index number. That same manufacturing product will produce as much as twice as much as more than the electrical product the electricity output in what you're receiving in a 4 or 5 index. So you could be producing in Africa from 6 to 7 to 8 kilowatts of power. So that's where the benefit for Africa comes in at. Now, but the problem is that as the superpowered nations, corporations began to upgrade and move away from this ancient, antiquated systems, I'm talking about oil and all that type of thing, then what they try to do is dump it on the so-called third world countries or to the smaller countries. And what I'm saying, Africa, don't do it. Don't go buy none of that stuff. Go and start investing your money into this alternative energy technology. So that way you could be able to have a whole community. See, we need to have a technology, and I think maybe this might help the sisters some, if we could begin to have a technology that has a holistic approach. Meaning that where here we had this ancient 18th century antiquated energy system, grid system that has polluted the earth and destroyed, is causing all kinds of adverse effect on our health and everything else. Now, if we can begin to spiritually, in a spiritual form, begin to look at it from a more holistic approach, just like if you create a business or whatever you create, it starts with an approach in addressing healing the environment as well as at the same time providing life and self-sufficiency to be able to maintain your standard of living. These type of things, this is what I'm looking at, what this technology can do. And Africa is in greater position because of its abundance of sunlight, can be the new future power, superpower in the world on the scene very shortly. If we can begin to start looking at that, and then you're looking at areas to where you don't have to have these transmission lines, which is radiating all kinds of electromagnetic radiation and stuff like that. You remember not too long ago, brother, we were talking about standing in front of the computer. I'm over here glowing steel over here, brother. You know.
Brother Wisdom, unfortunately, we're at the top of the hour, and we have to move on to our next segment here at Kimmy New Dimensions.
Yes,
For those in our listening audience that want to stay in contact with you and also want to learn how to, I guess, do some business with you in terms of your more about the product that you offer in regards to solar power.
Oh my God!
How do we contact you,
brother? Listen, you're welcome to call me at our nationwide number. That means if you're in the Caribbean islands or Hawaii, Alaska, you can dial in at this number at 1-866-465-2004. And brother, I forgot, we didn't even touch about the e-commerce stores, how people can be able to create businesses online and make money. We haven't even talked about that because, let me show you something, man. If they did the Homeland Security thing and shut everything down, or let's say that it gets unhealthy to go to these malls, where are people going to shop at?
Grow your own clothes.
Grow
your cotton.
Well, a lot of folks are conditioned to start buying stuff off the net. You see, you'd be surprised how people can be mentally or psychologically conditioned to do something. But that's just something to think about. But anyway, if you're interested in solar panels, and if you own a business or corporation or city government or municipality, you're more than welcome to give me a call. I can help you. And if I grant opportunities that it may be available in your area, we can also show you how you can be able to size up a system. And we have experts, and I'm an expert here in this area. I'm telling you that you can be able to really become energy free. If you're paying $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month in utility bills, or if you're paying more than that, we can show you how we can cut your bill by 50%, and immediately you can put that money into investing into your home or into your family or to your business or whatever. So you're welcome to call again at any time at 1-866-465-2004, or you can email me at wisdom2c@yahoo.com. Again, that's wisdom, number 2, C-S-E-E, @yahoo.com.
Well, Brother Wisdom 2C, again, I want to thank you for being our guest on this segment of Kimmy New Dimensions here on the LIBradio.com network. And yes, we're going to have to go ahead and do a part 3 to this conversation in regards to doing business online. And again, I want to thank you for being our guest. And those of you that are in our listening audience, if you'd like to continue with your emails, you can email me directly at Jamaal, Jamaal, at libradio.com. Coming up next, we're going to talk about memory, and not electronic memory. We're going to talk about the good old-fashioned brain.
Oh, brother, before you go, talk to that brother, because you remember I mentioned about children being in trauma.
That's correct.
And anxiety. They need memorization classes need to be immediately implemented in these in our classrooms for these children. And I'd love to stay tuned. But I know that right now you're going to have to close out here. So we'll talk about it, or maybe get me a copy of that. Okay?
Sure, that's not a problem.
Okay.
And again, family, this is Kimmy New Dimensions here on the libradio.com network, and we'll be right back.
Okay, brother. Okay, brother, I appreciate that.